Hi everybody, Joel from Arrma UK here. Hope you're all doing very well. And I just wanted to do a quick video for you to show you my Arrma KRATON AS. Now, I did go here with 2 million CST fluid in the centre diff, hoping for some wheelies. It comes with 1 million standard. Obviously, you see I've changed the chassis here. That's the Just Bash It RC chassis, which is absolutely stunning actually, to be honest. Beautiful. I'm not happy about having to go and change the chassis, although, as I said, it's a beautiful bit of kit and I'm more than happy with it. I'm not happy that I needed to do that within 5 runs of using the car because the standard chassis was bent. But anyway, this video is nothing to do with that. This video is to do with these. Now, it's just to show you quickly the difference that it makes. So basically, imagine that this car runs as standard. It basically doesn't wheelie, doesn't do anything like that. Major ballooning of the front tyres, and this is just running the stock motor, stock ESC, stock car, other than the chassis. And the only difference is the pinion gear is a 24 tooth, so up from standard to the 24 tooth. So speed wise, if you've watched any of my other videos, it just hits 50 miles an hour. And it's plenty fast enough, in my opinion, with that gearing. I haven't had any overheating issues with the motor or the ESC or the batteries, the way I run anyway. Although, I always run with an eye on temperatures. If you use anything and gear it up, you got to keep an eye on temperatures. Same with my big bore stuff, the engines, the big bore cars. If you're not keeping an eye on temperatures, you don't know what's going on, do you? So you got to keep an eye on it. So I run with that in mind, so I don't just go full throttle blasting for a whole pack, you know what I mean? I run with temperatures in mind. Anyway, so standard car, let's go to earplugs and see what effect it has. I know that Kevin Talbot did the same, but he's using the Shorty chassis, which is the, I can't remember the name, CRC is it chassis, and it's shorter wheelbase, going for more of a, I suppose, a Outcast, an 8S version of the Outcast car, so it's shorter than the KRATON, obviously better for tricks and wheelies and stuff, but I'm keeping it standard length. So I want to see, do the earplugs equal wheelies on the standard length chassis? I sure hope they do, but don't waste your time going 2 million CST. It's a waste of time. So yeah, let's throw these in and see what happens. Quickest way to get the centre diff out: take the motor out, undo the front brace, the rear brace, get the top brace out of the way. Right, so the first thing I'm doing is I've undone the braces at the front and the back, taken out the centre brace. So it's just the motor mount screws to get the motor mount out. And we've got this screw buried in the chassis here. Right, so once you've loosened off the motor mount from the underside, of course you can take it out. Slides right out like that. And there's your motor out of the way. Now I'm just going to unplug it to get it completely out of the way. That's your motor out of the way. Right, so we've already taken this screw out for the motor mount to get the motor out, and then you've got these larger screws here to get out, to get the motor and centre differential gearbox out. Right, now with all those screws out, you've got all this is now loose, and you can just take it out. Undo that rear brace, or the front and rear brace if you want. They're very easy, it's just a clip and a pin, and it gives you enough space to wiggle this around the central gearbox and motor mount to get it enough room away from the 2 drive shafts to then pull it out. So don't forget to do that. And that's what you'll see when you do. Don't lose this. Obviously this seal does fall out, so make sure that's in there when you put it all back together. Right, as far as getting the actual centre diff out, you've got 5 screws here that you can see there in those holes. You need to get all those out, and then the 2 halves split and you can pull the centre diff. Right, so once you've got those screws out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can then open this up. That seal's still on there. You've got a little bearing at the bottom there. Make sure that's back in there when you put it back together. And then that is what you'll find inside. And then you can just lift this out There's the other gears inside, so you leave that to one side, and then that's your center differential, and that's where we want to put these earplugs. Right, so make sure you're careful when you take this apart, because some people I've seen have had a lot of trouble getting these screws undone. So what I did, I've already had this apart before, is I just picked the side that was easiest to undo and I undid it. So do, I suppose, similar. Or what you can do, if it's got thread lock on it, which it should have thread lock on it, is apply some heat to each of these screws, and it will break the bond of the thread lock, and it will make it easier. You don't want to round these out, these heads. If you round them out, it's going to be a right pain, isn't it, to get them out. So basically, be careful when you do it. If you do round them out, just to give what I normally do if that does happen, is I normally use a Dremel tool and I cut a slot into the screw head, and then I use a normal screwdriver, a bigger screwdriver, and do it that way. So there are options if you do that, but try your best to be careful with these screws. Another thing to quickly point out, now I've just got the screws out, you can see I've got them all partially out, is you've got these little plastic inserts which hold this center drive gear to one side, so make sure you have those back in again, and they just go in. There's 3 of them equally spaced out, 1, 2, 3 around there, you can see them, and they'll just fall out when you take the gear out, but just take note of where they go and how they work. Right, so I've got the 4 screws out. Now when you open this up, you're going to see a lot of oil and a lot of gunk come out of it, so be prepared for that. There it is, it's super thick, and yeah, it's gone all grey. It was white when it went in there, or clear, so I've only used it once, so like that. But there you go. So you want to clear out all that, or as much of that as you possibly can. And there's your gears are all in there, and that all that fluid. Look, it's surprising how that has had no effect at all. It's like very, very, very thick. It had to be kind of scooped in there, but it had absolutely no effect on wheelies and the way the car drove. So I'm really hoping these silicone earplugs, there's one of them, make a difference. We'll see. Now to get all this cleaned out, you can scoop it out. I'm going to take all the gears out. You can use a toothbrush on it, maybe some other oil like WD-40 or something like that, or you can also use brake cleaner to try and get it off, but it's going to be a bit of a fiddle to get it all cleaned up. But yeah, so clean all that out, and then let's stuff the earplugs in. Right, so a couple of hours later, and nice cup of tea later, we got all these bits cleaned up. So I used GT85 and a bit of brushing with a little paintbrush I use, and clean them all up, and with a tissue and stuff, and got most of it out. So we're ready to put the earplugs in. So I've never done this before. I notice these earplugs, you can kind of pull them apart and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to shove a bit in first. Of course, the gears go in these big slots, so I'm going to go around the edges a little bit where they don't sit, and just put a bit of this in first, like that. Hopefully be able to crush it in around the gears, so yeah, a bit in each one of those, like that. Let's get another one of these, a bit in there. Okay, so it's basically like that, and let's see if I can get these gears in. Of course they come with these outer pieces, the inner, and then you got the gears, the sun gears, so basically like that. So we're like that. Okay, and we've got 2 of those, so see if we can squeeze those in. Just pushing it in, get that flat bit of the cog in. So that seems to have gone in quite easy. So that's like that. And then we'll do the other one. In as well. Oh, Jesus. Right, so it's basically like that at the moment. And then I noticed from Kevin's video, he basically pushed them in and then squashed it all in with a screwdriver, or you know, a hex driver like that, just squashed it all in. So I'm going to do that. Just press it in with your hand. They do, to be fair, if you put a lot of pressure with your thumb. They go in pretty well anyway. So that's two earplugs are in there like that. Let's go for a bit more. Okay, that's free, and you can see it's totally full up. So I'll try and press it in a bit around the gears. Get a bit more space for that sun gear to go in. There's that gear. It's kind of squeezing out the sides. Yeah. So yeah, that might be pushing it a bit much. But anyway, okay, so let's get this gear back on. Put the spacers in. And let's see if we can get this on. I'm not too worried if a bit of that stuff squeezes out, to be honest. It's not exactly going to cause a mess. So let's see how it goes. Let's try putting these screws in. That is really tight. Now I've used a couple of Allen keys in there, and I can turn it just about, but with my hands I can't turn that at all. So it's nearly like a locked diff, but it does have some movement. It's not locked, but yeah, it's nearly locked, really stiff. Right, so putting it back together, it's just the reverse of what we did in the first place. Now just make sure when you put it back, you're putting the red side of the diff case in first, so it lines up properly with the gear here. Okay. And then you've got that seal, it's still stuck on there, but just make sure that bearing stays where it should. Put that back together like that. Check the seal is in position just there, and then it's your 5 screws around that you took off before. Okay, so when you put this back in, you want to make sure you get that rear drive shaft in first. Get that in, then you can slide the motor mount back, and then you've got to get this front drive shaft in as well, so get that out of the way, and then you kind of manipulate it up and around like that. Lift it up to give yourself space to then get that front drive shaft in. And then once that's in the right place, which mine isn't, there you go. You can bring it all round and you're ready to bolt it back in. Okay, so I've just used a bit of the blue thread lock to get these 5 screws in at the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 3 motor mount screws I use blue thread lock. The 2 that go into the bulk here, the plastic diff case, I didn't use thread lock on, of course. And then, so we're secured there. I've just slid this in and put the pins in. I'm just going to put the little clips in to secure that center tower. The 2 middle braces are in, so it's just a matter of putting the motor back in. Okay, once you've done all that, so all we've got left to do is put the motor wires in and reattach the fan. Right, so center diff done with the earplugs, and I quickly put together these rear guards just out of some plastic. They just come round the back, underneath slightly. Very simple. And yeah, I didn't realise how stiff the centre diff was going to be with those earplugs in, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be good. So yeah, quick guards and the centre diff. So fingers crossed it runs good. Hope you're doing well. Take it easy. Take care of yourselves. See you guys.